It's Liam, Hydrisney here. We're back. This is episode 2 of the Divine Mind podcast. You'll be watching it on YouTube or listening to it somewhere. We've got a really awesome guest today, Martin or Voodoo. Martin Omes is one of the busiest people that I've met so far in the esports scene. So he's running things for GTHalo. He's working full-time with Gamers Outreach, running Warzone competitions, working with a number of celebrities and teams, doing things for things like Wonder Woman. I'll let him give you a little bit more of an overview about himself, but I'm really excited to kind of delve into his mind a little bit, have a look at the stuff that he's doing in the esports scene. Hopefully there'd be a lot of value there for everyone. So welcome, Martin. Give me a little bit of an overview about yourself.
Hey, thank you so much, Liam, for inviting me to come on to the podcast. I'm excited to share a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes, because I feel like a lot of people see all the great events that are going on. They don't really look as well to see what makes the whole thing happen. So I'm excited to talk about that. Like you said, I'm the program logistics coordinator for Gamers Outreach Foundation, where we build portable video gaming carts for sick kids hospitals all across the world. It's very sustainable, and it's an exciting enterprise that I love being a part of, where you see gamers giving back, and that's one of the huge things that people don't really know outside of gaming, the great philanthropy of the gaming community. It's absolutely phenomenal. I also, like you say, I run GTHalo, otherwise known as Greater Toronto Halo. It's the, I guess you say, most recognized grassroots community in Halo, well, in the competitive scene, I'll say, in the competitive scene, where we are focused upon, I guess you could say, trying to put it easily, Canada as a whole and Toronto as a whole. It's been very difficult growing up in the Halo community, because it's just the ease of access isn't that simple, as a lot of the events are in America. And a lot of people seem to forget, well, Canada's right there. It's still very expensive. It costs about the same for me to fly to UK as it probably would be for me to fly to Western USA to go to an event. So we want to be able to build a platform, build a location where players can hone their own skills to be able to develop and grow themselves to where they feel comfortable to compete on the upper circuit. And it's been phenomenal with that. And like you said, I've run esports events as well. So I've worked with companies such as ESL, DreamHack, Gfinity, Activision, of course HCS as well. So I've been running events for a multitude of different titles. Like this past month, I got to work with the Green Bay Packers on an event with their players. Awesome. So it's been really cool to see the different areas of seeing where gaming has now come into the mainstream media.
Yeah, for sure. And and like, if that wasn't the best intro that I've had so far, or in all the conversations I've had with esports people, I don't know what's going to be able to, with anyone that's going to be able to one up that. But I'll get into more the professional side later on. I want to kind of get to know you a little bit more as well. So you're in Toronto yourself. How old are you?
It's funny, I had to think about it. 27 now. 27 years old.
Awesome. Yeah, so still young. It feels old in the scene at the moment, because with all the talent that we've got, but it's still super young in a career perspective. So awesome. And when did you start getting into gaming when you were a kid?
I started, I guess you could say, relatively later than most people, because growing up, my whole life was soccer. Yeah. My whole growing up was pure soccer. Like, I ended up getting to play at a professional level growing up, so it's quite an amazing feat, where the only time I was gaming was just going over to my friends' houses. And so we'd play, so after school you'd play street hockey until the street lights went on, and that means you went inside, and then you'd play some games with your friends, like go over to someone's house and you play, or like a Saturday you'd go over and just land. So I got to give a shout out to my friend Michael, who introduced me really to Halo, and an old friend of mine, Mark, who introduced me to Warcraft 3. And those are the two guys that got me to gaming around 2005, 2006. Yeah. I think you can say. Maybe earlier. I think probably 2004. It's kind of a little bit of a blur of when it was, but Warcraft 3 and Halo were the main two games that I got brought into, mainly because they were neighbors of mine. Yeah. And it was just something to do when the streetlights came. It was too dark outside.
Yeah, fair enough. So that would have been, was that Halo 3? That was
Halo 2, Halo CE going into Halo 2.
Yeah.
And so it's during Halo 2 periods where we got to game quite a bit. And then Halo 3, I guess, is more when I got to get more involved, I guess you could say, in the competitive scene. Because Halo 2, I was more like, I'd be one of your normal people who'd show up at events and just be like your casual spectator. But Halo 3 is where it kind of started to go up from there to Halo Reach and so on and so forth. But no, it was I didn't really have that competitive gaming upbringing. Like my first console I did own was a 360, and it was at the end of the 360. So I was going to events and competing at events and I didn't even own a console. Yeah. So for me, that was my chance to game. So I was going to events because I was going to locals and stuff because that was the only time, because I'd be practicing about 4 or 5 times a week. I'd have a game. So it'd be that day, like, all right, I can sit down and play some video games and get knocked out in the first round. So if I got through the first round, it was a huge victory for myself.
Oh, awesome. That's and I think that's a really interesting part about the esports kind of like ecosystem, right? Is in Australia especially, which is obviously where I'm from. I'm in Toronto at the moment, but it's harder to go to events because there just isn't like that many of them, and so you don't have the same kind of experience as like what you do. Whereas over here, one of the reasons why I came here, thanks to COVID, shut everything down, and hasn't been an opportunity. I was really looking forward to being able to go also all those events and meet those people. You know, when the younger youths that are there to kind of play some games, that are there to make some friends and kind of network, because I think that's like a super untapped part of the ecosystem. You know, I think like those people need louder voices, and they're the people that we should be focusing on, like what the industry needs more of, you know, like, because they're the ones that are, you know, investing their time and resources into coming into being a physical part of the community, which I think will only get bigger and bigger. But so Halo C leading into Halo 2, Xbox 360's first console. And so on Xbox 360, did you go and straight into Halo 3, or what was the thing where you started really playing consistently?
Yeah, it was Halo 3 for the most part. So the only way for me to be able to control, so the TV and the Xbox 360 was in my mother's room. Yeah. So when she had to when the family she had to go to sleep, it means get out of the room. You're done playing. You're done playing. But it wasn't. I guess I never really grinded many games. I guess you can say like Warcraft 3 I grinded back in the dial-up days. So like you would be playing, for me I would be playing custom games, so like the old style like Footman Frenzy, the Winter Malls, the old school Dota before it became the phenomenon it is today. So I was playing those games online, and then so it was Halo 3 was, I guess you could say, the first game I really grinded myself into. Like I played a lot of Halo 2 with my friends. I'd be playing almost every weekend, but it wasn't my own it wasn't in my own household and grinding at it. But I was attending events during Halo 2. I actually won a local in Halo 3, the only local I ever won without owning a console. So I think that's the only cool thing I got going for myself. But there's been it's more, I realized that, and that's why I started to get into the other focuses of the events, because I realized I didn't have much time for gaming, but I still enjoyed myself. I loved going to the events. I loved being a part of the community. So I was trying to figure out, okay, what can I do to still involve myself with the community, but be able to, I guess you could say, still be a part of it. Yeah. Because I knew I wasn't never going to be a competitive gamer. Yeah. I didn't have the time. I don't think I ever had the drive to even want to be a professional gamer as well. Yeah. It's just trying to, but I enjoyed being with everyone. So it's just trying to figure out a way, okay, what can I do to still be a part of the scene and still be able to enjoy myself within the events without just being another first round fodder.
Yeah, fair enough. And so with Halo 3, were you grinding social? Were you grinding ranked? What was?
It was a mixture. So I just checked yesterday what it was, because it was announced that Bungie's shutting down their website. So I was taking a look at the stats. So it was mostly MLG. Actually, that is the only playlist I got a 50 in. Wow. It makes no sense. I looked at it. I didn't get a 50 in Team Slayer, Team SWAT, but I got a 50 in LG. And I told them, I was like, I don't believe you. And I showed it, and it's just, I was like, that makes no sense whatsoever. And I think it was just more because I was so used to being around the competitive players. I could understand how they play. Yeah. So that's one of the key things. If I know how people are going to play, I can resort myself and design my gameplay around it. When you're playing like a Team Slayer and Team SWAT, people just run around like maniacs. You have no idea where they're coming from. So I would get absolutely destroyed, and maybe I think I was like high 40s in them, but it was fun. And ranked griftball. I had like a high 48 or 49. I think it was like a 1 weekend. I'm trying to remember when they had ranked griftball. So
no, I remember that as well. I think we used to make fun of one of my mates because it was what he had his highest skill in.
Hey, it's a high level that people don't need to know what it's in. It just shows on the profile.
That's it. But no, MLG 50 was one of the things that I really wanted to get, but just we couldn't find games in Australia. We couldn't get enough people in the playlist. So I think I only ever got one in doubles and in Team Slayer, I think. And I got carried pretty hard to get.
That's fair. I will attest my 50s. Big thanks to Snipe Down, because if he wasn't on my team for many of those games, I don't think I ever would have gotten it.
I think there's a lot of 50s out there that are really associate 50s, you know?
I could just say, I can admit myself, I was one of them. Like, I got fortunate teammates some of those games.
It's also, I think it makes it even better though. That's half the reason to play and that's something I really loved about Halo 3. Is that I found like I was inspired by so many players in Halo 3. Like I wanted to play the game because these guys were so good, and I just couldn't see myself ever being as good as them. And now, like 10 years later, I actually feel like I'm much better at the game. But I feel like I've lost touch with that person that looked up to the other people. You know what I'm trying to say? And I really want to reconnect with that kind of feeling, because I think that's what we're missing a little bit of with the Halo 5 guys, because they were kind of the younger kids that were inspired, and now the younger kids, like, they're not inspiring now that they're there. So something that I kind of really want to work on. But so that was Halo 3 was the grind. At what point did you actually go, okay, cool, this will be like I want this to be something that I can do like as a career, as work? When did you start thinking about that?
And I don't think it ever was a thought, and I don't think to this day it's ever a thought where it's going to be a career. Mainly because it started out with Gamers Outreach, because every single year we have an event, like a yearly fundraiser called Gamers for Giving. So of course I was already doing the GTHalo stuff, but I was doing the Gamers for Giving. So I was always being part of the Halo tournaments every year. And at that time Halo was the main stage, like the big tournament. So I was helping out with those events, and then it was just to the point where I was just helping out every year. And then one year, Gamers for Giving became the HCS. It was on the HCS roadmap. So it was an actual Halo Championship Series event. And mainly, a lot of people remember this event because that was the event where Reality Check knocked out APG, and he has that funny face and that reaction. And so that was probably one of the first major events I was being able to run. And then it got to the point where other groups, so it was like PGL, saw that event and like, okay, we want to have an event just like that, because a lot of people said they had a lot of fun. So PGL then reached out to me, and they brought me down to Indianapolis to run their event. And then it just kept going from there, and just the ever-growing circle of all it takes, you just got your foot in the door. So I was volunteering for several years. But it never was a thought, and that's the problem. A lot of people see it as it's a money opportunity, or I want to get a job. You need to have your genuine enjoyment. For me, I just enjoy being at the event. I was enjoying, I had a group of Canadians with me, and everyone at Halo events knows them. And for us, this was our opportunity to hang out as friends, because we don't get to see each other as much. So it was more a weekend. We work hard and we do something awesome, and then we feel good about ourselves, but we never got paid. So a lot of the Halo events we've run, we didn't get paid for these. Like, we had to pay our own travel to work a lot of these Halo events, like even during Halo 5 H2A. But it was just more for our own personal enjoyment. So it was really cool just to see it grow, and to the point where I still like it's always been a side thing. It's never been a thought in my head where I'm 100% focused I'm putting all I guess all the balls in the basket, because it's more, I've always made sure, just having different options. If you focus so much on one option, you're just narrowing your focus. You got to make sure you're spreading yourself out. And like for myself, while I was doing all this, I was working on getting on my master's degree, and I just finished getting that one as well. So I've got my undergrad.
Man. What's the master's in?
I have my master's in education and environmental sustainability.
Oh, awesome! That's a funny crossover.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting. So I have I have a completely different life outside of Twitter, I guess, in the gaming community, that a lot of people don't realize. Like, I have my sports life that I can go on for an hour going through my professional side, and what I do now in soccer, baseball, hockey, curling, and so on and so forth. And then my environmental background, where I do a lot of environmental projects in the Greater Toronto area, like the Deep Lake water cooling system. But that's a completely different conversation. That's on different. But yeah, it's just, I like having where I can wake up and I have something different every day, because I saw so many people growing up where they get the simple 8 to 4, 9 to 5 hours, the same job, they do the same thing every day. And I can just see their creativity, I guess you could say, being sucked out of them. They're just getting into a rhythm, just doing the same thing. And for me, I just realized growing up, I don't want to have to do that. I want to have something new I can look forward to every day. I want to be where I can continue to be creative, continue to be innovative. And I think I've achieved that in my life.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm really interested now. How many hats do you think you wear? Like, how many different things are there? Because like, and I'm saying, like, Gamers Outreach is one of them. The GTHalo stuff is another one. Anything that could have a different, the environmental side, the curling side, the soccer side, the football side. How many hats do you reckon you wear at any given time?
Maybe about 10 to 12, I would give or take.
Yeah.
Because like I do a lot of charity work here in our local area. I'm part of the Halton Environmental Network, so I do environmental projects. Even during this time, I work with the high school students and elementary students, teaching environmental programs in the schools around here. So those are extra hats. And then I work as the commentator here for Canadian soccer. Yeah. So when it was going on, obviously we don't have it going on, but I commented all the big Canada soccer games for Ontario. I did the provincials, nationals, League One Ontario, and then I guess you said the only other hat I probably haven't mentioned is maybe I'm one of the board members for the Red Patch Boys, which is the lead supporters group for the MLS team Toronto FC. So I organize a lot of the away road trips. So you've probably seen I've traveled to a lot of the away games with a lot of people. I'm the capo as well. So if you ever go to a game for Toronto FC, I'm the guy with the megaphone, being the conductor, organizing and starting the chants in the crowd.
Wow. I love that, man. So, okay, the other thing I'm interested in, you got all those hats going on. Yeah. What's taking the most of your time?
The main focus is obviously Gamers Outreach. Gamers Outreach, that's been the main focus and driven. It was something I was volunteering for 10 plus years in, and to the point where now I've got the opportunity to work on it full time. That's been the dream job. I know in my life and my career I could be getting a massive job, massive career, and be like, I worked as an engineer for the city of Toronto. Most people said you were set for life there, and I chose to leave it. And most people thought I was crazy because you're turning down a well-paid job, you're secure. I said, but that's boring. That's not who I am as a person. And to the point where, I'm doing something where every single day it's a fulfilling feel, where I'm giving back to people who need it, and I'm able to bring some smiles to people's faces. And that's what keeps me going every day. And I'd rather be happy in what I do than anything else. And that's what I love.
Yeah, awesome. So for people that don't know about Gamers Outreach, I've just pulled it up quickly, and I think just to to read through like what they do, and then give me more of an overview. I'd love to hear more about it, because I know from things that I've seen on social media and stuff what they're involved in, and it's a super important initiative. But what it says here on the website is that their focus is to support kids and teens throughout the healing process as they undergo treatment in hospitals. We equip nurses and child life specialists with the means to make activities and technology accessible. Ultimately, the goal is to create sustainable experiences that produce joy and minimize trauma for patients. So for anyone that has, known somebody, or, that's been in hospital or had something that they've got to work through medically, the whole process can be traumatic and just non-stop exhausting. For anyone that's had to spend a long time in hospital.
Boring.
What's that?
And boring.
So that's a super amazing initiative. But tell me a little bit more about Gamers Outreach. What do you do there on a day-to-day basis?
So I am running the go-karts program, so the logistics behind it. So I'm not part of the development program where the fundraising part. I do the part where, all right, I work with the influencer. Okay, you want to donate to this hospital, so I'm the guy coordinating with the hospital. I help with the construction and make sure the deliveries get from our construction hub to its final destination of the hospital. So I do all the back end stuff, similar to like the gaming side, where I'm running all the events on the back end. I'm doing all the back end stuff to make sure that the charity is fulfilling its manner. Because one of the cool things I love being a part of this is that when you donated the amount to build a Gamers Outreach cart, which is $3,500 US, you know what you're getting your money towards.
Yeah.
So okay, I've raised this much. It's going to get one of these carts to the hospital I'm wanting to go towards. And the key thing for it is that gaming needs to be accessible. And we realized there was a lot of patients that were being unentertained and bored because they weren't able. They were, let's say, quarantined. They were bedridden. Many different reasons they couldn't go towards the gaming room, or the hospital doesn't have entertainment. So we want to make sure that we can find ways to make entertainment accessible to where we're able to bring the gaming and entertainment towards them. So we have a cool where it has a lift, it can lift up and towards the player's bed. They can play from their bedside. Awesome. And they play on a wide arrangement of games that can keep them entertained. And for a lot of patients, talking with them and going to the hospitals it's their highlight of the day, and some highlight of their stay. Yeah. And that's, for me, is what keeps me going.
I think, and it's an absolutely incredible initiative, so I'm going to make sure that we leave the links for Gamers Outreach down below. People can donate, that type of thing. Is there, how can other people get involved if I don't leave the right link below?
No, you left it right there. Yeah, if you go to the website, you can volunteer as well. We're always looking for volunteers, especially this stage. If you're interested in volunteering in a post-COVID world, we also have a program called the Player 2 program, where, because a lot of the medical staff aren't familiar with gaming equipment, so we help bridge that gap as well as gamers. So we play games with the patients, as well as we teach, maintain the gaming equipment, and showcase to the medical staff, okay, this is how you update a console, this is how you download it. So it's like you're being that middle ground and being that technologist between them. So it's really awesome, and getting to play with the patients, because for them, playing with the medical staff, sometimes they want some competition as well.
Yeah. Awesome. So we'll leave the links for that below, guys. Anyone that wants to be involved in it, obviously it's an amazing initiative, and the things that they're doing to change lots of people's lives individually is absolutely incredible. So if you get a chance, and if you can sacrifice some time, volunteer some time, or donate something, then the link will be in the description below. So Gamers Outreach is the full-time gig at the moment, obviously. So I just want to get this for anyone that doesn't know. You're working full-time with them, so they pay you like on a wage, like a salary, and you got to that position from volunteering, and you experienced like kind of, sacrificing weekends to go and run tournaments without getting paid. That experience built up and gave you that opportunity?
Well, in the Gamers Outreach sense, it was more as volunteering. So I was going to the hospital sometimes, like out of my own pocket. Because for me, like I would even fly down to Halifax for my own. And it's just like, for me, that's the enjoyment. Like, oh, I get to build a couple of gaming carts for the hospital. And seeing all that work to be able to plan something out, just to bring it to the children, was the excitement. So I was volunteering for them for over 10 years.
Awesome, man. Yeah. And I think that's like, Oh, I love that so much because that's what people don't see, and that's why one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast. So, guys, 10 years, right, of volunteering and putting it out there. That's the type of thing that you're going to be expecting yourself to be able to do. And if you don't have that, then you've got to work on your work capacity to be able to get to that point. So that's taking the most time. What's the second most time in your world of hats that you've got on?
I guess you could say in the gaming scene, the second most would have to be the events that I'd be running. So I was most recently running events for the CDL, so Activision, Toronto Ultra. I was doing events for them because I've been able to build a program with the Toronto Ultra as the lone Canadian team to build Canadian-only Call of Duty tournaments. So very similar to what we have for GTHalo. They saw what we do for GTHalo and said, okay, we want that for Call of Duty. And I've been able to build that where we have monthly events for the Canadian Call of Duty players where they can enter and build themselves a platform to be able to get themselves some placements, get some experience, to where now we're starting to see a lot of these Canadian players like Diamond Con just got signed by New York. You're seeing players like Royalty, Gunjar, of course, continue to make their waves up, and we have a lot of great Canadian players, so doing a lot of stuff for them. I did events recently, like I was saying, for the Green Bay Packers, doing a lot of stuff there. I got to do the 100K Warzone event. I did the 100K Dirty Bomb event for Activision. So I was getting to work with big personalities like your Dr. Disrespects, your Nade Shots, your Husker, Symphony Tommy, all those guys. So getting to run events for them. And then before that, I was doing the Vicstar 123 Showdown. Of course, a major figure in the YouTube scene. I was working with him in Gfinity and being able to do their events. So it's really cool, especially during this time. I miss being able to go to the events itself, but being able to do it from here, kind of convenient.
yeah, I get it. So, okay, it leads me on to something that I've been really curious. Who's been the person that you've met through this experience that's been like the biggest standout for you, where you're like, wow, this is the person. This is this is who I'm looking at and talking to right now.
In what sense?
Just someone that blew you away, you know, like someone that you maybe were inspired by, and then you met them and you were like, wow, that's exactly who they are. Maybe somebody that you weren't expecting, and you started working with them and you're like, geez, this person just gets it. You know, who's been like the standout, and I mean more like celebrity figure that you've kind of worked with or met?
First person that came in my head would have to be Fuzz. So if you don't know who Fuzz is, he's the global head of gaming at YouTube. He was the former member of the Old Men of Optic. He was part of Optic Gaming in the past. And I guess you could say he was the first person to kind of give me an opportunity in the competitive gaming scene. So in the old sense, I was editing YouTube videos for Fuzz, his streams. And then I was editing his gameplay videos when he was playing with Hex, Optic J, and those guys back in the day, and uploading them into YouTube for him. And to see him go from game battles, he was originally just a game battles moderator, to where he was going up and continue to go from now where he's the head of gaming for YouTube. Just following his story and being able to talk with him. Like I talked to him a month ago where he helped me do an interview for my masters, and just being able to catch up with him and share his story. I don't think there's many more people more inspiring than Fuzz. And again, not many people know his story, and seeing what he's had to go through his medical background and going through his challenges to where he just got to where he is. So, and it all started from a simple car ride. It was first of all, it was at an event, and the fire alarm went off at like 2 a.m. and just standing outside and just talking with him, to where we then shared a car to the airport the next day, and then just continued to talk from there. And it led into many different stuff, and I still keep in contact with him today. And if there's anyone truly inspiring in the community, I think it's Fuzz.
Yeah, awesome. I know who Fuzz is, but Fuzz is a difficult thing to say. But I brought it up just so I could kind of give a little bit more background. This is just literally his Twitter bio. He's head of gaming, 20% commerce, VR, and other initiatives. He's the BOD for Gamers Outreach as well, so obviously a part of that. Forbes 30 under 30, THR 35 under 35, Fortune 40 under 40, New York Times best-selling author. So somebody who has obviously been in the gaming scene for a long time and had a really big impact on it as well. So Awesome. And
Yeah,
so,
definitely look into him a little bit more. But yeah, like I said, he started out as your simple volunteer game battles admin,
yeah,
and got into where he was casting many events and even continued to go higher from there. And for me, it's just you don't know where the limits can go, and he's got himself just an open mind and just seeing what direction. Just don't like I sometimes like I want to be just a caster. Sometimes be more than just a caster.
yeah,
See what more you can do.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's again, I think there's going to be a lot of people that will really benefit from listening to this, because it just shows, you can start with just an idea, but it's the consistency to keep hammering away and working at it and adding like little notches to your belt the whole way along, that if you do it consistently for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, the way you can end up is the journey can be absolutely incredible. And that's one of the things that I talk about with our new recruits in Divine Mind a lot, is that it's just about working on your work capacity. So right now, some of these guys struggle to upload to Instagram once a day, right? And that's a reality. But when they can see, and that there's people like you, that you've got 12 different hats on at any given time, that you're doing your casting, that you're volunteering, that you're building consoles for Gamers Outreach, that you're running tournaments for Activision, it's hopefully this can be the type of thing that really inspires some of you guys to go out there and challenge yourself to just take the next step. Because I'm sure that there's another 10 Martins out there that just need the little kick in the ass to get them going. And if we had more people like you in the scene, obviously I think that the scene would be an even better place. So I've got some more questions I want to ask, but I just want to take the opportunity now to thank you so much for all the work that you've done. And when we first started coming onto the scene as Divine Mind, you were one of the first people that kind of reached out and said, do you need any help? What are you doing? How can we, can I be involved? Do you want to be involved with what I'm doing? And it kickstarted that I went, okay, cool. There are people that want to help. There are people that want this to work, and it motivated me to start doing more. And so thank you so much for everything that you've done for not just us, but for the community. And I think, lots of people don't realize what's going on behind the screen with the events, and that there's a real person sitting there and working on it, and they take for granted a lot of the time because, for like, say, for GTHalo, right? The competitions and how much time do you think goes into setting up, preparing, running, from start to finish a GTHalo event?
Several hours. Like an event itself would be 10 to 12 hours. Have to make sure coordinate team preparation takes at least 12 to 24 hours. Like a school year event, when we were doing it at the beginning of quarantine, took even more because I was having to coordinate with the players who don't know each other and preparing that and making sure we can have somewhat balanced teams. So that took the amount of work that takes prior. And again, I'm not getting paid for that. I have no reason for doing this, but for myself, what keeps me going with GTHalo and keeps me going is seeing what other people can do, being able to give a platform for others to grow. Like look at what we had during Halo 5. We see Stress becoming a top content creator. We saw Shyware becoming a top caster. We saw Musa being a top 3 pro. We saw Druck being the Halo 5 free-for-all champion.
Yeah.
And they're all coming from GTHalo. And at the beginning of Halo 5, nobody knew who they were, but they were coming to all the GTHalo locals, honing their craft, being able to meet other people to where they can then go from there. And we're seeing the GTHalo guys go on road trips together to be able to afford to go to events. Yeah. For myself, I'd be working the events. So let's say I was working like a UGC St. Louis, I would have a hotel room. I know the GTHalo guys couldn't afford it, so I would have 8 or 9 guys just stay in my hotel room. So I'd be coming back to my hotel room 2 a.m. absolutely exhausted. The only rule I had was let me sleep. Yeah. I come back to the hotel, do not, this means get out, go be loud somewhere else or be quiet when you're and let me get my sleep. But it's like being able to provide a home for them and for them probably to share their stories. But to what you were saying earlier, a lot of people ask, oh, how do you have so much time? That's the most common question I get. How do you have so much time? And I still feel like I have a lot of time. I don't feel like I feel overworked. Sometimes I am because it's maybe because I have so much going, like events going at the same time. But sometimes it's just like I have a lot of free time. I'm able to do all these things. This is stuff I do in my free time. So it's just limiting. My friend gives me his Netflix account, and he knows I've probably watched maybe 3 movies throughout all of quarantine on it. Yeah. I think my brother has the Crave. I don't think we've ever used it. So it's like minimizing your TV watching, stuff that like I don't watch that's I guess the simple thing. I have one page of apps on my phone.
Yeah.
Because the amount of time you can just waste time going through and looking what other people are doing, and that sometimes for other people and for myself, that's kind of demotivating sometimes, because you're saying, oh, look at what they're doing, look what they're doing. That could be motivating. It's more how you do it, but sometimes it's more like, well, look at that, I want to try and do that, or I wish I can do that. It's more, instead of wishing it, why don't you go out and do it? So if I spend less time on my phone and more time doing stuff, I'm happy. Like, I don't need the Instagram, I don't need the Snapchats, I don't need TikTok. I rather just focus on what I'm doing, and if I get the time, maybe someone will share me something cool, but I don't need to spend my time going through everything. And
yeah, I mean, I love that. When I used to manage some fairly large sales teams, one of the things that I used to talk to them about is minimizing your transitional time, right? And a lot of people don't quite quickly go through what that means. It means that if you say you're going to play an hour of Xbox, then you're going to make a YouTube video, and then you're going to, edit the YouTube video and post it, right? So that's you've got that set up to be like maybe 3 hours worth of work, right? It can very easily turn into an entire day just on transitional time. You sit down to play the Xbox, but before you play the Xbox, you go get a coffee, you go and have a shower, you get ready, you get on the phone, you check Instagram, you do whatever. So you're meant to start playing the Xbox at 9, you don't start playing until 9:45. Then at 10 o'clock, you're actually just getting into it. You play from 10 to 11, and then your friend comes online and says, hey, do you want to play another game? You play another game, and it's 10:30, 11 o'clock, transitional time is then getting off and getting able to get started on something else. So that would be being able to finish playing the Xbox at the time that you set, get everything that you need started for YouTube, work straight into it, and get it finished, right? And have like set breaks and that type of thing, so that you're making sure that you're being as productive as possible. Because this day and age, man, everyone's got goldfish-like focus attention spans, and so I think that that's a really awesome thing for you to say, is to kind of cut down on the things where you're just wasting time. And I think that it's super easy to do that, is just to cut down on that transitional time. Like if you say you're going to do something, set a start time for it and just start it. Because once you get going, it's so much easier. But when you let yourself just kind of, it's like anyone that's ever grinded a competitive game, like anyone that's watching this and wants to be a better Halo player, it's like when you're sitting on that start screen. I'm sure you can probably relate to this as well. You're sitting on that start screen and you've had a really good game, and you almost don't want to play another game because the last game was great and you don't want it to go bad again, right? But if you can just keep starting a new game, getting in, grinding and playing for like hours on end, you're going to become a better player, right? But if you spend that time, 10, 15 minutes in between every game, just sitting there and thinking about something and doing something, you waste so much time. So that was a huge ramble, but I think that, spending time in places where it needs to go it would help a lot of people to kind of take that next step.
Just one quick point. Like I'll have to say my sports background was the big benefactor of why I do it, because for myself, I'd have practice from 6:30 till maybe 8:30, and I'd be getting home. I'd be absolutely exhausted. So I'd get home from school maybe around 4 o'clock. I knew I had 2.5 hours to do my homework. And if I didn't finish it at that time, I was never going to get done. So it's more like I knew I was like, I only have 2 hours to do my homework, because I'm going to be falling asleep here. So if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it.
Yeah.
So it's just having that mental thought, like, all right, I sat down, I'm doing it here because there was no other time to do
it. And look, that's a really good point. I think people should put themselves in that situation where you should be signing up and doing things that keep you accountable and make sure that you've got to be there, so that then you have less time and you have to do it in the time that you've got available, right?
Well, having the main thing is, people say, I hate having stress, I hate having pressure, sometimes having stress and pressure is good for you.
Yeah.
You need to be able to do it, and you find out who you really are when you have that pressure. And that's why I love when building my team of admins, for example, for the HCS events, because it was just volunteers, and it was just trying to find the right people, because a lot of people, for these guys, it was just for their own selves to be able to, like, I want to pick the head of the pit. The pit is where all the open bracket games are, where you have all the stations. His name is Matt Murray. A lot of guys love him. He works as a chef on his normal day job here in Toronto. he didn't know about Halo much at all. He just knew he was one of my best friends, and I knew I can trust him. So I said, okay, I know you know how to run a bunch of things. So can you show everyone how to do it at a Halo tournament? And this guy's doing 6, 7 different things, and everyone's asking, how does he do it? And just for himself, he loves having the pressure. He loves having a lot of stuff going on, because it keeps him focused, and he really gets to figure out about himself in those type of moments. And he realized, I saw a side of myself I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to throw yourself in the deep end to figure out what can you do and what can't you do and what you can improve on. Because for myself, I'm not going to say it was all daisies and rainbows. No, you had to grind. There was so many rough moments where sometimes I couldn't sleep, or the amount of one Twitter player with a check mark tweets out something about you, and you get about 40 nasty tweets about the way you ran a tournament. It's just stuff like that. You just got to learn to deal with it, and you learn how to react to yourself, and you learn what's important for yourself.
Yeah 100%. All right, I want to move on to a little bit more about you as well and the gaming side of things. What's your favorite game to play at the moment?
My top 2 games right now are Football Manager 21 and F1 Formula 1. So those have been my top 2 games. So really cool thing during COVID, I got to be able to organize with my own community. Managed to convince 18 of my friends to get the game. Awesome. And we have a weekly race every Sunday. We meet up in the Discord, 20 of us, and we do a race on the F1 calendar. And we do a race every week, but it was it's been a lot of fun. So got a lot of people, some guys in the Halo community bought a steering wheel, some guys use a controller, and just it's a cool, fun thing, something different. And now a lot of them were like, I don't know what to focus on. I need something to grind or something to keep my mind off. And now they're meeting every night. They're doing practice races, and they're having a lot of fun with it. So I've had an absolute blast playing that. And then Football Manager, for people who don't know that game, you do everything you do in FIFA Manager season mode except play the game. You do all the micro stuff. I love all the micro stuff, like picking your formation, picking the little tidbits of how each player is going to play. So you're coaching a team. You're working on the salaries. You're doing the marketing. You're doing the sponsorship. So that type of stuff. For most people, it's boring, but for me, I have an absolute blast.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. And so how often are you playing computer games?
I try to make sure I get an hour in every day. Just like once I'm done my day, zone out, play about an hour or 2 with just maybe talking with some friends in a call while I'm playing some games. And try to have a little bit, an hour of me time in there.
Yeah. Okay, so you'd say on average it's about 1 hour every day.
About, yeah.
Yeah. What's if you're going to sit down and like have a session, what's like the longest you'd play a session for?
If I start early in the morning, let's say 10 to 12 hours, I'm kind of counterproductive as a gamer. When it gets to about 11 o'clock at midnight, everyone knows this is me in my chair, starting to slow down. Like, I'm here. I'm still going. Yeah. I'm about half asleep.
That reminds me of the late Destiny nights. That's what that reminds me of. Waiting for people to catch up in raids and stuff, and I'd be sitting there just like.
Yeah, I'm there. So, like when we do for GTHalo, when we host our overnight lands, about 2 or 3 a.m., I'm in the sleeping bag. I'm passed out. You guys have fun.
Awesome. All right, so speed round for a few things. What's the best gaming memory that you've got in general?
Gaming memory
can be in game, could be at an event, whatever. Just gaming as
I'll give two. My in-game, my own personal playing, my favorite in-game memory was at a GTHalo LAN at Mad Max's basement, where it was a Halo 2. We were having a Halo 2 tournament, and it was 49-49 on Beaver Creek.
Yeah.
And for me, I had maybe 2 kills all game, but it was a 49-49 scenario. And I scream out, "Nobody move, everyone slow down," to my team. And as soon as I do that, I pick up the shotgun, go through portal and shotgun someone as soon as I scream, because the other team's right across. So they heard me say that. And as soon as I say that, I pop out through the portal and shotgun someone. And everyone said, "You're a madman for even trying that," because someone's on the other end of that portal.
Yeah, you
so
do.
for me, that was was a hilarious moment for myself. A lot of people remember. So now it's the ongoing joke: 49-49 scenario. Leave it to Martin, and he'll be able to he'll get the kill. He'll figure it out. Outgoing memory. Honestly, the fact that I almost qualified for Hearthstone Worlds.
Wow.
Again, most people had no idea I even had that Hearthstone background at one point.
No.
I was grinding Hearthstone, and it was the funny memory where I was winning games. I was at a tournament, but it was also one of my best friend's birthdays in the evening, so I thought I would be eliminated by the time at the qualifier.
Yeah.
So I made it to the top 8 in the tournament, and I DQ'd myself. I said I got to go to my friend's birthday.
Oh my goodness! What?
And for myself, at the same point, everyone thought I was crazy. But at the same point, I was like, I didn't think I'd get this far. And for me, I realized going to my friend's birthday, who, like, he had it was a scheduled birthday party. Like, we had to be there at this certain time because I think we were doing an escape room first, and then we were doing a bunch of stuff. So I was like, this is more important to me.
Yeah.
I realized, what is my priority? And he's one of my best friends. That's more important to me. So I was like, I'm going to be there for him. That's more important to me than when it could have been a great opportunity for myself, but did I really earn it and deserve it? Not really.
I so get it. One of the things that I always say to like my friends and family when they ask, because like obviously I'm spending a lot of time on Divine Mind and we don't make any money or anything from it, and I'm playing a lot of computer games, trying to put out a lot of content, is IRL still comes first. Like real life is still what comes first to me. If Chloe, my girlfriend, says, all right, we've got to go and do something, I'll just turn the Xbox off straight away and go. There's no conversations, because it's more important to have those real life connections, because there's plenty of time to play video games. You know what I mean? There's plenty of time to be competing and doing all that type of stuff, but you don't want to ruin a relationship that you have with a real person, you know, that can be right there in front of you. So love that. It's balance.
It's balance.
Yeah, fantastic. 2 memories though. I love both of those. I can't wait to come to a GTHalo LAN and there be a 49-49 scenario. I'm going to be looking for you. Martin's about to come out of somewhere at the shop.
I'm a different person on a LAN. Everyone will notice. Like I'd be Mr. Nice Guy. When you put me in a game environment, I'm the same on the pitch.
Yeah. That
people are like, that's where all the anger goes.
Yeah, fair enough.
I am not afraid to yell.
Yeah. So next thing, what's the biggest competition that you've been a part of?
Been a part of being able to run a dream hack. That was obviously cool. For most recently during COVID, being able to run a massive $100,000 Warzone tournament with all your biggest favorite gaming celebrities, being able to organize and coordinate all those people, because you're not just dealing with your favorite streamers. Let's say like a Nate Shot, you're dealing with their management team and everything. So being able to coordinate all that to build out, I think it was like 35 teams of high quality influences was crazy. So seeing stuff like that, so being able to be part of events like that has been incredible. Like you said, your dream hacks were always good. Being at an ESL 1 in New York, incredible to see what goes on in that point of view. So I wouldn't say there's one, but for me, nothing beats a GTHalo local. Yeah. I know it sounds cliche, but most people will be like, oh, you're just saying that. For me, nothing beats a local, because you see all your friends there. Everybody's there for the right reasons, because there's too many players, too many upcoming players right nowadays that he's coming. I'm gonna say for example, in a Halo, Moose is coming. I'm not coming. I'm not gonna win, and that's too many. That is one of the biggest issues I see right now. Yeah. I see it even on the online tournaments. Lethal's playing the tournament. I'm not entering. Now I'm not, because I'm not gonna win. Yeah. Everyone's so focused about, I'm not going to win, or their placement, rather than gaining the experience, the important part of being able to put yourself up against people at that level. That's how you get better. People don't realize the only way to get better is to be playing against and playing with people who are better than yourself, because you're never going to improve if you continue to play players beneath your skill level, because you're just going to be playing at their level.
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking at you, Halo Australia, looking at you, Australian Halo community. It's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same thing.
Because, we have that issue. And so one of the things to make people more comfortable is what we do with the schoolyard format. And that's why I like it, like where we have our top players. So like Musa will see, and that's why I love guys like Musa and Druck. A lot of people don't know behind them, but at the locals, they'll see a new player come to our lands and they will team with them.
Yeah,
because they'll be like, for ourselves, they want a challenge too. They want to be able to, if I just team with Druck, it's not going to be any fun. We're going to destroy everybody. So they want to give themselves a bit of a challenge, and that's how they got themselves. But they said for themselves when they showed up, guys like Mad Max, Crizin, Dark Scorpion gave them that opportunity to learn from them. They want to be able to give it back, and seeing that circle is amazing.
Awesome. Okay, next one is what do you have coming up that you're most excited about?
Coming up, I don't know if I can speak about it. I actually can't speak about it. NDAs. I'm apologizing. So let's think about the most exciting thing that I can talk about. Gamers for Giving for Gamers Outreach. It's our yearly. We're doing it online. We have a lot of cool streamers. I'm excited to see what we can be able to build, and I think some of the Halo streamers are planning to stream on that day. So since everyone's online, everyone's going to be doing online fundraisers through their streams. So that'll be in March. So I'm excited to see just the whole community come together. And being able to see what they can grow and seeing how close the community can get, because I think that's one of the cool things like games like Among Us brought. Just seeing your favorite communities interact with other communities and just seeing everyone work together on a common goal.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, so I'm asking this question to everybody because I really believe in like the visualization behind things, visualization and putting it out there to the universe, but then the action that follows up on those things. So the question is, if you could see a dream version of Martin, what does he look like? What does the perfect reality for you look like?
Someone who doesn't get injured as much. Honestly, I don't know what I would change. Because for myself, I can say to myself, I've been my true self. I've been the person I wanted to be. I'm looking towards what I'm trying to become. And people
what you're trying to become. That's what I think.
And for what all I'm trying to become is just I can't even say. It's more work. What can I keep doing to keep improving myself, keep challenging myself, to keep improving to what can I do next? I don't know. But the thing is, for myself, what I keep saying is I don't say no. Like I don't want to shut the door, or more, I don't want to shut the doors on stuff. It's more I want to see where it goes. I'm excited to see where the path goes, because right now I think I'm in a place where I'm confident in myself. I'm happy with what I've done. I'm happy with where I've been able to get to. I'm happy with my life. So it's just I don't know what I would change. Injury wise, I would love to get rid of some of these surgeries I've had, but I'd love to be able to continue traveling again. But so that would be, it's more stuff I know I'm going to be able to do in the future, because a lot of people spend too much time looking at the past. Like, I've had a lot of injuries. I could have stopped and be focused upon that. But instead, I'm more focused on what can I do. Like a great story I had was during my third year, during my undergrad, night before the final papers were due for my classes. And this was before cloud existed. Most people are like, why didn't you save it to the cloud? I could have saved it to an external. I didn't have one. Okay. And my laptop broke.
Oh no.
Like it just shut down completely. So all my papers are on there. So instead of panicking and such, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be straight out. And said, okay, I'm going to go. I went to the library, computer. I did everything. It wasn't as good. I was like, I could have spent more time complaining or trying. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be focused. Okay, what can I do? What can I do is to get it done again. And just looking forward. And a couple of my professors, when I told them, they were expecting, and they said, I told them this is what happened. They're like, I can't believe you actually got it done.
Yeah.
And they said, because you are spending so much time focused. I was like, because I just looked, it's like, okay, what can I do now? Because there's nothing I can't change that. I can't fix this. What can I do? And I was able to find a solution. And in that moment, I learned about myself where, all right, I'm in the right mindset.
Yeah, cool. I love
See,
that.
I know I didn't really give you a great answer to that question, but
No, I think
dream person, because most people say, "Oh, flashy." I don't want to be. I don't want to live a celebrity. I don't need the money. If I'm happy, if I'm generally a sustainable, happy person, that's all I can ask for.
you've won. You've won, man. That's the end goal.
I go to sleep excited for the next day.
Yeah, awesome.
That's a
Okay, so
dream version.
the last two questions. Obviously, I gave you a little heads up, but one of the things that we want to do is so that I can continue doing these interviews and hopefully bring more and more people on that can offer just as much value as what you have. I want to get everybody to just tag someone that they think would be great to be the next interview. So who did you have in mind to step up next?
I try to think, but you know what? I want to keep it Canadian themed. There's a lot of great Canadian people, but I want to focus as well on behind the scenes. And this individual, I think, does a lot behind the scenes as well in the Toronto area for other esports. He, of course, he does a lot for Halo as well now because I brought him in, but he does a lot of stuff for games like Overwatch, fighting games. He does a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So I'm going to shout out to Rodney Valerio, otherwise known as the Rods. He does a lot of production work. He does observing for Call of Duty. So he does a lot of hard grinding, and I think his stories and what he can share, I think, will be beneficial as well because he has a very similar story to myself, but like completely different motivations of how he got to where he is. But
Awesome.
he's
Okay,
a great
cool.
individual,
So
and Rodney will be great.
Yeah, so the Rods, I'm going to be in your DMs. I'm going to hit you up. We're going to make that happen. Before we finish up, where can people find you? I'll grab a link and I'll put it all in the description below. But for those that are just listening to the podcast or anything, where can they find you, keep track of your streams, join your Discord, that type of stuff?
On my Twitter, at Martin Omes, MartinOmes. Very simple. Otherwise, on other places, my Twitch is twitch.tv/Voodoo Man. My Discord's in my Twitter, and so is my Twitch channel, so you can find the information on there. No, I don't have Instagram. No, I don't have Snapchat. No, I don't have TikTok. I'm sorry. If you want me on Twitter, find me there. If you want to get in touch with me, send me an email or DM, and I'll find it eventually. Because I like keeping everything in one place. But you can find me there. To be honest, even I'm horrible on sharing on social media. So if you don't know what's going on with me, just simply ask, "Hey, Martin, what's going on?" Send me a message. What's going on? And then we'll go from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending the time. I initially said to you we'd have half an hour. I think we've been talking for about an hour and a half almost now. So thank you for everything that you gave me there. I think that was super valuable. I think that so many people are going to really benefit from hearing your story. Hopefully it's going to motivate some people into action, and hopefully they'll be able to work on their capacity to improve. We'll touch base again in the future, I'm sure, for another rendition of this and maybe closer to Infinite or another big competition. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this as well, just leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about Martin's story. If you want to know more about him, if you want to know more about Gamers Outreach, that's obviously going to be in the description as well. But thank you so much for being part of it. Make sure that you share this with your friends. And if you want to help support any of the communities that you're a part of, the best thing that you can do is just be involved with the content they're putting out, be involved in the competitions that they're doing, show some love, and a simple thank you and a simple interaction will really help them know that you appreciate what they're doing. I think that goes unsaid a lot. So thank you again so much, Martin. Anything you want to say in signing off?
Oh, thank you very much again to Divine Mind and yourself, Liam, for inviting me on. I'm excited to see what you guys will be able to do in not just Halo, but everything in the future. Hopefully Infinite comes out soon, but otherwise just, I know it's a tough time right now, especially us down in lockdown again, but like I said, just find yourself one individual goal. Find yourself one thing that you want to accomplish during a day. Maybe it could be something small, like, all right, I'm going to clean my room, or I'm going to do something. Just find that one thing and being able to continue to go from there.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much again, Martin. Thank you so much for everyone that was watching. Really appreciate your time.